Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with BetVictor. This is your go-to show for your best bets ahead of the weekend. And as we crown a new king on Saturday, we will also be crowning a new king and queen of the 2,000 and the 1,000 Guineas, the first classics of the season at Newmarket this weekend. We're going to be looking ahead to these races as well as a few others as well. And I have been reunited in the studio with my two favourite pundits because I have Sam Boswell of BetVictor and Declan Ricks of AtTheRaces.com. Sam, you survived Perth.
I did, and well done to the three of us. We'll blow our own trumpets for once. We had a nap trick, didn't we, last week?
Nap trick.
Absolutely flying.
We will coin that phrase, get the hashtag trending. No pressure, but we may well do again this week, hopefully so anyway. Declan, that wasn't to any sort of demise of you, though, because you still did very well at the weekend and enjoyed a wedding.
Yeah, we did, yeah. We had a great time. Went home, a friend of mine from Australia got married that I hadn't seen since pre-COVID. So, yeah, we went on the tear in Tipperary for 4 days. Just about recovered, but yeah, it was a brilliant weekend, and thankfully a couple of winners went in for the show.
Yeah, and as you say, all three of us are steadily recovering from what was a long weekend for all three of us. But as Sam said, at least our naps did go in anyway. We will aim to give you some similar winners again this week. But a reminder, as ever, to please do gamble responsibly, that our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will still do our best to point you in the right direction anyway. And do also remember to like and subscribe to the At The Races YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. Right, let's crack on with the action because we begin at Newmarket and we begin with the big one. This is the Group 1 2,000 Guineas. Comes up at 4:40 at Newmarket on Saturday, over a mile for the 3-year-old colts. And fair play to Aidan O'Brien because he is running his two big guns there. We have August Rodin, 6-4 market leader from Little Big Bear, 11-2. Chaldine hoping to get a few yards further than he did last time out, 6-1. And then it's Sakir, 15-2. So Declan, would you like to kick us off with the 2,000 Guineas?
Yes, we will. Yeah, it's going to be Chaldine for me. I just think when I look at that market, August Road and Little Big Bear, Chaldine, Sakir, you know, out of all those horses there, I think he's probably going to be the most natural miler out of all of these. I loved what he did last season. Every time he went to the track, he just got better and better. Obviously won the Dewhurst on his final start. He's got a lovely way of going, this horse. You know, he looks happy to be a racehorse. Gets out, cruises high, ears are pricked, loving life. So I'm hoping that kind of a forward-going prominent style will be suited to Newmarket as well. He's obviously by Frankel. I think you can see the Frankel in him. He's got that kind of relentless nature to him. And look, he's just a very good horse. You know, winners of the Dewhurst obviously do very well in this race. Andrew Balding was interviewed on Sky Sports Racing during the week and he seemed very happy with him. You know, obviously not an ideal preparation on seating in the Greenham, but maybe kind of in some ways, you know, that might be a blessing in disguise because I think the ground was very soft, probably tending towards heavy at Newbury that day, and it means he maybe didn't have as hard a race as possible. Even though Frankie was off him, though, you could see him staying nice and aggressive. He was up there annoying Sean Levy on Isaac Shelby, so the fire still burns. Yeah, it's going to be Chaldine. I do like him. I just think he could be the most natural miler out of all of those horses to the front of the market.
Yeah, and you know that they're not going to make the same mistake out of the stalls. They're going to be very live to any potential ducking, but I think we can easily forgive that for a horse at this stage. Anyway, so it's Chaldine then for Declan. Sam, who are you siding with?
I'm making the case for the favourite here, Kate. I think this horse could be very, very, very good. I think his final start at 2 really showed that he will be much better over further. This is the shortest I think we'll see him for the rest of the season. Appreciate he's a short price already for the Derby, isn't he, really, when you look at it on paper? But I was very taken with that start. You don't have to worry too much about the ground. We are still trying to ponder what we're going to end up with. But the way he won this race was just so eye-catching to my mind. The form's working out reasonably well as well. We saw Epsom, the second, went and won over slightly further. And I just like his preparation for it. You know, a prep race. Does a horse need a prep race at this stage of the season? I don't know. I'm no expert there, but Aidan's managed to do it with Saxon Warrior and Magna Grecia recently. Came straight from Doncaster, didn't have a run before this race at 3 and went and won the Guineas in good style. For me, I think he will be a better horse over further. It could be a case he gets away with it a little bit, and that's why I wouldn't be too worried if we get a slightly softer ground. But what a great renewal. You can make cases for loads of them. I think the stable makes interesting at 11-2, and even Noble Style, who's a massive price at 18-1, could be interesting. But yeah, a cracking renewal of the Guineas. Excited to see who wins it.
I think of all Aidan's 2,000 Guineas winners, all of them have had their first start of the season there. So, yeah, that's not going to be an issue at all, is it?
No, he's the master of prepping them for a classic, isn't he? Like I say, I wouldn't have too many fears about that for either of his runners in here. But Sam, I think that even though we know that August Rodin, he's been talked about quite highly touted to try and achieve the Triple Crown, I think this will be the hardest task of the 3 legs, though, for him because of the trip. And we tend to see with the 2,000 guineas going to quicker horses rather than the 1,000 guineas. You're more sort of looking for your Oaks types, horses that are going to be getting further, tends to go to them rather than we kind of get the quicker horses going in the 2,000 guineas. So I'm concerned for August Rodin on that basis, hence why I'm siding with a stablemate. I don't think it would have been easy for Ryan Moore whatsoever to side between August Rodin and Little Big Bear. I'm going with Little Big Bear, where I think he's a quicker horse, but I also think he will stay. Where I know so many people have said, well, I'm not entirely sure he'll fully get the mile here. But you look at his pedigree. Yes, he's by No Nay Never. Plenty of No Nay Nevers have got a mile anyway. He's out of a Bering dam, who was the Arc runner-up. His dam won over 10 furlongs. She's also the granddaughter of an Arc winner herself. So there's stamina aplenty in the pedigree for him to be able to get this mile. And he's got the size and the scope, as we've just seen on the video there, to really be shaping up into a stronger 3-year-old anyway. My only concern is just the slight setback he had at the end of last season. That's my only real concern about him. I think he's the most talented horse. So we all disagree, but to reiterate, Little Big Bear. Declan?
Chaldine for me.
Well, that's the road in.
Oh, right.
Surely one of us is going to have the winner, the first 3 in the market.
Cue the Godolphin horses going in 1 and 2. Right. Well, hopefully that's helped you solve the 2,000 guineas in any way. Up next, we're going to be moving on to the filly equivalent. This is a 1,000 guineas. Now, this comes up on Sunday. We don't have declarations at the time that we record on Friday morning, so we don't know the draw. We don't know the final lineup, but we felt that we wanted to still look ahead to this race anyway, given it is a classic. Now, at the head of the market has been a huge talking horse all along. This is Tahira for Dermot Weld, who did confirm only earlier on this week she will be getting a run in the 1,000 guineas, 340 at Newmarket on Sunday. But this potentially might be a more open contest than we tend to expect, though, Sam. But who did you come down on the side of?
Yeah, definitely agree. Rafe Becker's got an interesting hand here, hasn't he? And I know Declan likes one of his runners, but I actually like something different. I thought Lezo at 14-1, the Cheveley Park winner, was really interesting. Now, I suppose the doubt here is, will the horse stay the trip? And I dug back in through the page and, you look at the sire, just 1 run at a mile, finished second. It was not too much in there to encourage you, and I would say the ground would worry me as well. If it ends up a little bit softer, it's going to be a bit more of a test. But if we can keep dry, I think she's got a cracking chance at a big price of outrunning it. She's beaten horses that she's up against here previously. I know that was over shorter, but the fact that he runs her here, when he's in good form as well, the trainer, I just really thought a double figure price. It's probably a bit boom or bust with her. That's the one thing I would say. So I'm either going to hit the jackpot. I won't probably play the race each way either with her. But I thought Frankie on board probably would be the type that could shorten up on the day. 14-1 was a big price.
Brilliant story for us journalists anyway. It would just write our headlines for us if Frankie manages to win a classic this early on in the season, Declan. So Sam makes a good case there for a big price horse. Who are you siding with?
Yeah, well, I think Sam's after giving it away. Yeah, the other Rafe Beckett filly, Remarket. I just think at the price, I'd rather be on her. Look, Tahira absolutely is the horse to beat. I suppose the only worry with her is it's going to be a first start to the season. Dermot Weld hasn't had that. It's been a good while since he's had a runner, I think, in the 1,000 guineas. He always tends to wait with his fillies. But look, he's a master trainer. If he's willing to come here, you've got to be happy. I trust Dermot Weld. He likes to take his time. If she's ready to run, she's ready to run. I just like a filly who's had a run under her belt. Unless it's Aidan O'Brien, fillies who have had a run in this race have tended to do well. Remarque for me, unbeaten in 2, filly by Kingman, trained by Rafe Beckett. I think Rafe Beckett's really starting to put himself into that kind of maybe elite bracket of trainer now. He's getting a much better horse. Every year he seems to be getting better and better. Got a great record with fillies. I like what she did in the Fred Darling. I thought she was a little bit of a better winner than the neck margin suggested. Indeed, Rob Hornby was so confident he chucked away his whip. So, it didn't even need, I think she got 1 tap and then took off. She's by Kingman out of Champs-Élysées mare. I just cannot believe she won't be even better over a mile. She's got a bit to find with the front 2 at the head of the market, but she's had a run and she was still green in the Fred Darling. I can't believe again she's not going to improve. She had to be brave to take a gap under Rob Hornby Rob Hornby about 3 out, and I like that. You know, those little things you like to see racing among horses hopefully will crown her. But she got to the front, half pricked her ears on the line. I thought she had a little bit left, so yeah, it's going to be a remarque for me.
Oh, so the Rafe Beckett fanboys over here now. Right, I'm going to take you on, though, because I am siding with the filly at the head of the market in Tahira, where, you know me, I try and take him on at the head of the market where I possibly can. And she has the profile I would normally love to take on here, because we haven't seen her since September. She only has 2 starts to her name. She's yet to race out of Ireland. We didn't even know till earlier this week if she was even going to be running in the 1,000 Guineas. So I'm really starting to make a compelling argument for her as to why I'm actually siding with her. But for all of those things, I just think she's something special, as you both said there yourselves. And it's more with her, the visual impression that takes precedent more so than anything else. And as you say, Dec, the fact that Dermot Weld is running her here, he must think she's ready to go. He's not a trainer who just runs horses for the sake of it. So I'm going to take that as a huge vote of confidence for her. And I just think that she's the most talented filly in the lineup with a scope for further improvement. So Tahira for me, Sam.
Lezo for me, but I'm doing my dry dance. The dry dance is needing to come out for her.
Are you gonna give the viewers
Absolutely not, Dec.
Preview now?
Just for you after a few pints, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, after the weekend that's just gone, yeah, I think we could all be doing with a dry dance for the foreseeable. Declan, your own selection.
It's going to be a remarque for me, but we probably should say we obviously haven't got the draw, and we don't know where the pace is going to come from, all that kind of things. But look, Newmarket starts today, Friday and Saturday. Just have a look how the track is playing, because last year, if I remember correctly, a lot of horses drawn low came to the fore. I remember even in the Guineas, Caribus was drawn low, Native Trail was on the other side. So you've just got to keep an eye on things like that. But I've made a meal of all of that. Remarque for me, Kate, I'm sorry.
And we'll definitely get a feel of the draw then in our next race that we're going to look at. Do let us know your own selections for the 2,000 and the 1,000 Guineas in the comment section below anyway. But as I say, the draw is going to potentially prove pivotal in our next, because this is the Group 3 Palace House Stakes over 5 furlongs at 4 o'clock at Newmarket. 17 runners here, Declan. Wide open sprint. How on earth do you start to solve this?
Yeah, it's going to be hard again. The draw and everything's going to come into play here. I think there's a good few runners, but I think there's pace right across the track. There is a lot of pace on in this race, and I think that's going to suit my selection. Twilight Calls. Henry Candy has started the season very well. I think he's operating at a 30% strike rate. When he teams up with Ryan Moore, they work together at a 29% strike rate as well. And Candy actually won this race back in 2009 with a horse called Amor Prope, who won first time out. But this fella, to me, I liked him. He just got steadily better as the season went on last year. Just the horse crying out for a strong gallop, and he's going to get that here. He was beaten in this race last year. He was 5th, but like we've just mentioned in the kind of 1,000 Guineas preview here, last season, it drawn low was a big positive, and he was drawn in 12. I think the race just fell awfully for him in the Temple Stakes. Then when he was second, he was unlucky. He needed a stronger gallop because he travelled too well. And then he was behind that monster Nature Strip at Royal Ascot with a great run. He was a little bit slow away that day. Probably gave himself a mountain to climb. He maybe did well to finish second, but the pace is the key to him. He's going to get that here. And the other thing with him is he's won first time out the last 2 seasons. The Candy Yard are going well. I think although he's favoured, I think he ticks an awful lot of boxes, and he'll take a hell of a lot of beating with Ryan Moore on board.
Yes, that Nature Strip form that's making me nervous. I can see why he is being well supported for Twilight Calls, because that probably is the best recent form of last season definitely. In the book, though. So I do agree with Declan on that basis, but I'm not siding with him. But I'll leave that for a second. Sam, you're up next.
Yeah, I've got very little hand, because Declan has made the best argument you'll hear for Twilight Calls. So I'm all over this horse as well. Absolutely fantastic, Declan. Great argument. Yeah, that Royal Ascot run was pretty impressive. I would be more worried about the first time out angle if his form wasn't so good first time out, because obviously it's been a significant period of time since we've seen the horse. But you know, there's really it is an open looking race, but I think he just seems a cut above. I went through it trying to sort of pick holes in him versus everything else, and you know, unless he gets unlucky with the draw or in running potentially, if he is slow away, I suppose that's the only real chink in his potential armour, I think. And I think Ryan Moore's going to be more than wise to that. I've got no doubt there. Fantastic jockey booking. So yeah, for me, I'm being a bit boring, but Declan's made a cracking argument, and I'm in complete agreement.
Oh, in agreement again for the pair of you two. How sweet. Right, I'm disagreeing with the pair of you two yet again here because I think he is priced up accordingly and I am nervous. I think he's the biggest danger. But the horse I like here, he may be about third in the betting, but he's still available on each way price. And that's Live in the Dream because he ticks so many of the trend boxes for this race. He's a 4-year-old and he's drawn high where, as you say, last year's winner was drawn in 1 in Cardem. But generally for this race, when you go back through the trends, you want a horse that's drawn higher. Live in the Dream, he is drawn 16 of 17 here. He has an official rating to be featuring of 104. Likely to try and go forwards and to make all. I am concerned about the other pace angles in this race, but I'm taking it as a confidence booster that he's coming here instead of going to the Chester May Festival, or he could have gone back to Pontefract for a 0 to 105 handicap. I thought they were the most likely options, so I'm going to take it as a vote of confidence that he's coming here instead. And the way that he hit the line last time out at Pontefract was very strong. So I think he's up to this task with conditions to suit at 10 to 1 for me, but it is wide open and the pair of you two with Twilight Calls. Right, that is us done then at Newmarket for now. And again, do let us know your own selections in the comment section below. Now we're heading up to Doncaster for their feature race on Saturday. This comes up in the evening at 6:55. This is the 0 to 90 Harrison College handicap. So, Sam, I'll start with you for this one, please. Who are you siding with?
Yeah, I think we must have upset the producer last week because this is a tricky race to try and find the winner of. But the good news is I think there's a little bit of each way angle that I've dug into the race and had a look at. I guess it's a case of, do you like the more unexposed younger horses in the race, or do, like me, you've decided to put your faith in an old stager, Venturis, back on turf after last being seen at Newcastle, where he blew the start on All-Weather Championship Day. He has got a little bit of a tendency as he's got older to do that, but he arrives there fit, he arrives there fresh. His mark's now down to something like, I think, 86. He's won off much higher in the past. I know he's a double figure age now, but I just think if the spark is still there, he could possibly put it up to a slightly smaller field than some of those big field handicaps that you used to see him turn up in at York and Doncaster throughout the season. I think this might suit him. He's versatile as well on the ground, so if it does pour with rain at Doncaster, I'm not too worried. He's won on heavy previously. I thought he'd probably end up being a price that I could have a stab at each way in a tricky looking race and put my faith in sort of tried and tested rather than some of the unexposed horses that have got a bit to find.
Tried and tested. Going with the old boy angle then is Sam. Declan?
Yeah, I think Sam kind of sums up that race well here. This is it's a proven kind of form against kind of potential coming up through. But I'm with Sam. I'm going the same way. I'm kind of going to go with proven form of the 6-year-old here. One for Peaky Blinders fans. Aberama Gold for me. Got an excellent record here at Doncaster. I think he's run here 4 times. He's won once, been second twice and third on another occasion. He's fit from the all-weather. He's had 3 starts already this season. Looked on good terms with himself. Was a bit below par on his penultimate start at Wolverhampton, but he bounced back to form last time out at Linkfield. I just hope there's a bit of pace in the race. Fast and Loose could potentially get an easy lead, but Royal Parade's got first-time cheek pieces on. I hope that sparks him up and they go a good gallop and it makes him take on Fast and Loose, and then Aberama Gold can just track him behind the leaders. He's drawn well. Yeah, look, it's a tricky race, as Sam says, but I do like him. Yeah, so it's going to be Aberama Gold for me, please.
OK, the Peaky Blinders reference just went straight over my head. I didn't get past sort of about 3 episodes of the first series, unfortunately,
really?
for me. Yeah, I know I'm bad to say that, aren't I? But I don't know what reference mine is for, but I'm siding with Pocket the Prophet even here, because I was really toying between him and Fast and Loose. So 2 horses at either end of a pace map here, where Fast and Loose, like you say, I think is going to try and go forwards and blast them from the front. But Danzan also likely to go forwards as well, and also the first-time cheek piece horse you just mentioned. So hopefully that'll tee itself up nicely, because I just think 6 furlongs, soft ground, Pocket the Prophet, the optimal conditions for him, well, as well as the all-weather, as we know, but in terms of turf, that is ideal for him. You can throw out his last run. It was over 7 furlongs. He needed a stronger gallop to weigh him at. He's getting the hood refitted here, and hopefully he'll just get that nice toe into the race, running off of the same mark as last time out as 90. So Pocket the Prophet for me.
Aberama Gold for me.
And Sam?
Venturas for me, one for the old boys.
One for the old boys. There you go. If that's your angle that you like, then we'll side with that. Right, now we're going to be heading over to the Sky Pad, where I'm going to get the lads' best bets for the weekend. Right, now it's time to reveal our best bets for the weekend. So our nap, our next best, and our long shot. And Declan, you're up first.
Yes, while all the main action's going to be at Newmarket on Saturday, I'm going to be heading to Goodwood for 2 of my best bets. The nap is going to be Malak there. Really like this horse. He's got course form here. He won at the track last season. I would say his mark of 86 is only fair in what he's done so far, but the real potential with this horse is both in his physique and his pedigree. He's by Muharar out of Guineas, which is a little bit topical given she won the 1,000 guineas. And physically, I just looked at him, you know, he looks like a horse who's just going to be much better this season. All legs, plenty of air under him, fine big horse. All the rest of that, I think he'll take a bit of beating now, so he's going to be the nap for me. Sticking then at Goodwood for the nap, it's going to be Tuddenham Green. I just think a mark of 72 is workable again. He made his first flat start in a little while at Nottingham a couple of weeks ago, ran very well. You know, he had a good season over jumps as well. I think he won twice. You know, just a mark of 72 goes well. David Probert rides for Alan King, got a good record. And the long shot's going to be Silver Knot in the 2,000 guineas. The one thing with him is I wouldn't want any rain for him, so we're going to need a little bit of luck with the weather. I just think he's the most overpriced of all these horses. Again, he's another horse in the field I think looks like a natural miler. He's a strong traveller, has course and distance form, won the Autumn Stakes last year, and he was so unlucky at the Breeders' Cup. He had a bit of a nightmare run down the inner for a few strides, to be fair. It wasn't too crazy, but I loved his attitude and his bravery to take the gap under Willie Buick, and he ran on very strongly late. So yeah, those are going to be the three best bets for me this weekend, please.
You can have them, seeing as you asked so nicely again then, Declan. Sam, I expect similar politeness, please, in your own three best bets.
Well, we'll give it a go. Something in that sea air, I think, down towards Goodwood, because that's where my nap's going to come from as well. Richard Kingscote and Sir Michael Stoute obviously teamed up to great effect last season, and they've got a horse in the listed race on the card that I'm really interested in, and I think she can really put it up to these days. I think she's about a 7-4 shot, popped up over, and her form going back through last year, she won a Group 3 at Sandown in really nice style. Potentially was just a little bit in at the deep end on her final start of the season, which came after, I think, a fairly busy time for a Michael Stoute runner by his standards. And I just think she's most talented in the field here, and we'll put that to good use, providing we don't see too much rain. I wouldn't want to see bottomless conditions. My next best and my long shot, probably the wrong way round looking at those prices on screen, but Austrian Theory runs at Thirsk in the Hunt Cup, and for Charlie Johnson, I really like this horse. Back down to a mark now that he won off previously. Had a nice little spin as well to warm up for this in a tougher race, I think it's fair to say. The run at Hamilton last year off the mark of 96 was certainly what caught my eye. Definitely think this is a horse that will probably outrun his price at 14-1. The long shot really should be that horse, shouldn't it? But Queen Ollie in the 2:15 at Newmarket runs in the listed race for George Bowie. Just her second start, I should say, for the trainer having joined him. I thought that was just over a trip that perhaps didn't suit. She takes on her elders here, so she gets a little bit of weight, and she's going to have to impress, I suppose. But I think down in trip will definitely suit her, and I think there's just a bit more to come from her. And George is a trainer I've got a lot of time for, and he's in good form himself. So those are my three. I think I'm fairly confident about the nap, actually, I must say.
Oh, fairly confident about the nap. What a way to sign off with those three, isn't it?
That camera's on, by the way.
So we will clip this off and we will play this out regardless of the result then.
Bring it on the internet.
Now, my own best bets, I'm starting out with my nap, who has to be Little Big Bear. At that price, it's an absolute gimme for me to want to side with this horse, because I just think he's the most talented horse in the 2,000 guineas. I don't have any fear about him staying the mile, as judged on his pedigree and him seemingly being the, inverted quotes, second Ballydoyle string. My next best now is Live in the Dream, a 10-1 shot there. I think, I'm getting a very fair price for him to bring up a hat-trick as he continues to progress, and I'm happy that he's taking in this Group 3 contest, and I think he's up to the task to try and make all from his good high draw. Now, Sam, I felt like a bit of a cop-out when you had Austrian Theory as your next best and I had him as my long shot, so I'm happy you said that you wanted to reverse your long shot and your next best bets, because even at 14-1 I thought it was a little bit of a cop-out, but I was maybe expecting to get a bit bigger, but I think other people have cottoned on to both of our theories as well in the Thirsk Hunt Cup. Always in a race name I'm terrified to say, so I don't know why I've voluntarily chosen to go to this race then for my long shot. But Austrian Theory, through all of the reasons you've just mentioned, back on his last winning mark. He was gelded over the winter prior to last time out, where he just shaped as though he needed the run. I know he finished last of the 5, but it was a really competitive contest at Kempton, and he just blew up. So hopefully he'll come forwards for that, given £2 back as well. And he's a horse where I'm expecting him to come good again then at some point. Right, that is everything from us on this week's show. Big thank you to Declan and Sam for all of their hard work. I've got to scoot shoot off to Cheltenham actually for a hunter chase this evening. So lots to look forward to. And there's so much to look forward to next week because we will be back with Ascot's Victoria Cup as well as Lingfield's Oaks and Derby trials. As well as that, we have the small matter of the French Guineas. Do remember to utilise the @theraces.com website and the ATR app for all of your bets this weekend. And we'll speak to you again next week.